In an age where the world spins faster than ever before, where information floods our senses and the boundaries of knowledge seem to stretch into infinity, humanity still finds itself grappling with the most fundamental of questions. Who are we? Why are we here? Where are we going? These timeless questions remain untouched by the progress of science, untouched by the marvels of technology, and untouched by the sophistication of our modern societies. While we fly into space and build cities that reach the clouds, many souls find themselves wandering in inner deserts, thirsting for meaning, connection, and truth. It is in this space between advancement and emptiness, between progress and disillusionment, that a dialogue begins. A dialogue between the ancient words of the Quran and the modern world. At first glance, such a dialogue might seem paradoxical. How could a book revealed in the 7th century to an unlettered man in the deserts of Arabia have anything meaningful to say to the hypercentral, post-industrial, digital world of the 21st century? Yet, when one dares to open the Quran not as a relic of the past, but as a living conversation, they are often struck by its resonance, its universality, and its ability to speak directly to the human heart across time and space. The Quran does not pretend to be a science book, nor does it engage in political ideologies. But it does something far more powerful. It speaks to the soul. It speaks to the very core of human existence, offering a message of divine unity, justice, compassion, and accountability that cuts through the noise of our modern confusion. The modern world prides itself on progress, yet it struggles with crises of loneliness, anxiety, moral ambiguity, and environmental collapse. It boasts about freedom, yet millions are enslaved by addictions, consumerism, and spiritual emptiness. It celebrates knowledge, yet it forgets wisdom. In this landscape, the Quran enters not as an adversary to modernity, but as a gentle reminder, a compass pointing back to the essential truths that we may have overlooked in our pursuit of worldly successes. It challenges, it invites, and it speaks with a language that goes beyond Arabic or any human tongue. It speaks the universal language of the heart. When modern man opens the Quran with sincerity, without prejudice or preconceptions, what emerges is not a foreign text, but a mirror. A mirror that reflects not just the outer world, but the inner world. It invites the reader to question the narratives they have been taught, to pause amidst the chaos, and to listen to the soft whisper of their fitra, their innate disposition towards the truth. The Quran engages the reader in a dialogue of self-reflection, encouraging them to think deeply about their purpose, their creator, and their responsibilities to themselves and the world around them. And perhaps that is why the Quran continues to captivate thinkers, seekers, and truth lovers from all walks of life in the modern world. Its message transcends the divisions of East and West, of ancient and modern, of culture and race. It calls to something deeper, something universal, something eternal. It is not simply about rituals or laws, but about a worldview that recenters man in his rightful place, not as the master of the universe, but as a humble servant of the one who created the universe. This dialogue between the Quran and the modern world is not a clash of civilizations, but an invitation to harmony, an invitation to rediscover balance, meaning, and the profound beauty of submission, not to man, not to ideologies, but to the creator of all that exists. In this dialogue, perhaps lies the healing our fractured world so desperately seeks. The Quran presents itself as a timeless guide, a book not bound by the constraints of any particular era or civilization. It claims to be a message for all of humanity, offering wisdom that resonates regardless of time, or place. When approached with an open heart, the Quran's relevance to the modern world becomes not only apparent, but profound. It offers a framework that addresses the challenges of contemporary society while grounding the human soul in unchanging truths. The Quran does not shy away from encouraging critical thinking, reflection, and intellectual engagement. Throughout its pages, it calls upon readers to look at the natural world, to contemplate the universe, the stars, the seas, the intricate balance in creation, and the moral compass embedded within the human heart. In a time when scientific discoveries and technological marvels have reached staggering heights, the Quran invites modern man to look beyond the material and to reflect on the Creator behind the creation. It acknowledges the pursuit of knowledge, but reminds the reader that knowledge without purpose can lead to arrogance, confusion, and ultimately despair. The Quran presents a balanced path where knowledge serves to humble rather than inflate the ego, where scientific inquiry is not at odds with faith, but rather becomes an act of worship, as every discovery of the natural world is seen as a sign pointing to the Creator. In an era plagued by moral relativism, where right and wrong are often seen as subjective constructs, the Quran offers a clear moral compass, rooted in divine guidance. It does not leave humans wandering in a sea of uncertainty, but provides clarity on justice, compassion, mercy, and accountability. It challenges oppressive systems, stands with the oppressed, and calls for social responsibility, economic fairness, and respect for the environment, values that are increasingly relevant in the face of modern global crises. Moreover, the Quran speaks deeply to the heart of the modern individual, lost in the noise of consumerism, superficial pleasures, and digital distractions. It calls for a return to mindfulness, to inner peace, to sincerity, and to the ultimate purpose of life. It offers not only a guide for societal reform, but a personal roadmap for inner transformation. It is this combination of personal, societal, and spiritual guidance that makes the Quran uniquely positioned to engage the modern world, offering answers to questions that technology and progress alone cannot satisfy. The Quran's dialogue with the modern world extends into the realm of science and discovery, an area often perceived as being at odds with religious belief. However, when examined closely, the Quran does not present itself as a science textbook, but rather as a book of signs. It uses natural phenomena as reflections of divine wisdom, inviting humans to observe, study, and reflect upon the universe with curiosity and humility. This approach resonates deeply with the modern scientific spirit, which values observation, analysis, and the pursuit of understanding. The Quran encourages this spirit, emphasizing that the study of the natural world can bring one closer to appreciating the intricacies of creation and the Creator. The Quran makes numerous references to natural processes such as the creation of the heavens and the earth, the alternation of night and day, the development of the human embryo, the water cycle, and the balance of ecosystems. These references, while not scientific in method, align with many modern discoveries in fields like astronomy, embryology, and geology. For many, these verses have acted as an intellectual bridge, demonstrating that faith and science are not necessarily contradictory, but can complement one another when approached with honesty and openness. The Quran encourages believers to use their intellect, to ask questions, to challenge assumptions, and to never stop seeking knowledge. In addition, the Quran addresses human psychology in ways that modern psychology has only recently begun to explore. It speaks to the inner struggles of the soul, the battle between ego and conscience, the thirst for meaning, and the human inclination toward both good and evil. It provides tools for self-reflection, repentance, mindfulness, and emotional resilience, all of which are becoming increasingly relevant in a world grappling with mental health crises and existential uncertainties. The Quran's dialogue with the modern world also extends to its calls for social justice, human dignity, and universal brotherhood. In an age marked by divisions, discrimination, and inequality, the Quran reminds humanity of its shared origin, its equal worth in the eyes of the Creator, and the importance of transcending race, wealth, and status in pursuit of truth and justice. These timeless principles remain essential in fostering peace, coexistence, and a collective sense of responsibility in today's interconnected yet fragmented world. Another profound dimension of the Quran's dialogue with the modern world is its emphasis on human rights and social reform. While much of the world today prides itself on advancing civil liberties, equality, and justice, the Quran introduced these concepts over 14 centuries ago in a time and place where such ideas were revolutionary. The Quran called for the abolition of practices such as infanticide, which was tragically common in pre-Islamic Arabia, particularly targeting female infants. It promoted the rights of women to inherit, own property, receive education, and participate in social, economic, and political life at a time when women were largely treated as property themselves. This is not just a historical note, but a living example of how the Quran's principles, though revealed in the 7th century, continue to resonate with modern struggles for gender equality and social justice. The Quran's teachings on the fair treatment of orphans, the rights of the poor, the obligation of charity, and the prohibition of exploitation all lay the foundation for the ethical frameworks upon which many modern humanitarian values are built. These principles challenge societies even today to rethink systems that perpetuate injustice, greed, and oppression, reminding us that spiritual enlightenment must be accompanied by tangible social action. Moreover, the Quran's message extends to environmental stewardship, a subject that has taken center stage in the modern era. Long before terms like climate change and sustainability entered global discourse, the Quran urged humanity to act as caretakers of the earth, not as reckless exploiters. It condemns corruption on land and sea and calls for balance in consumption, emphasizing that the earth and its resources are trusts given by the Creator to humanity for responsible use. In an age where environmental crises threaten the future of the planet, these teachings are not only relevant, but urgently needed. In addition, the Quran's call for mutual understanding between peoples, as seen in its invitation to dialogue with other faith communities, offers a template for coexistence in an increasingly globalized and diverse world. It recognizes the existence of different cultures, beliefs, and traditions, but insists on the common dignity and humanity that unite all. This spirit of respectful engagement, not coercion or conflict, is central to the Quranic worldview and presents a vital model for peaceful relations in the modern age. One of the most striking contributions of the Quran to the modern world is its revolutionary approach to knowledge and intellectual inquiry. Unlike many ancient texts that view divine revelation as separate or even opposed to human reason, the Quran encourages believers to observe, reflect, and seek knowledge in all fields of life. It challenges people to look at the creation of the heavens and the earth, the alternation of day and night, the diversity of languages and colors, the cycles of nature, and the intricate design within all living things as signs pointing to a higher truth. This concept of the universe as an open book of signs was groundbreaking in a time when superstition and myth dominated intellectual thought. The Quran repeatedly uses phrases such as "will you not think?" and "will you not reflect?" pushing its audience to embrace a mindset of curiosity and critical thinking. It does not promote blind faith, but instead calls for reasoned belief, that is strengthened by observation of the natural world and engagement with intellectual pursuits. This approach laid the groundwork for the flourishing of science, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and philosophy during the Islamic Golden Age, a period that deeply influenced the European Renaissance and the development of the modern scientific method. In today's world, where there is often a perceived tension between faith and science, the Quran's message stands as a bridge, not a barrier. It insists that scientific progress and spiritual wisdom are not enemies, but allies in the quest for truth. Modern scholars, scientists, and thinkers continue to find inspiration in the Quran's verses that speak of the expanding universe, the stages of human embryonic development, the water cycle, and the balance of ecosystems, all described in ways that align remarkably with contemporary scientific discoveries. The Quran also upholds the value of education as a universal right, not a privilege for a select few. It commands both men and women to seek knowledge and emphasizes that the learned are not equal to the ignorant. This principle resonates with global movements advocating for equal access to education, gender equality in learning, and the fight against ignorance and illiteracy. In an age driven by technology, innovation, and information, the Quran's unwavering endorsement of knowledge serves as a timeless reminder that progress must be anchored in ethics, responsibility, and a commitment to truth-seeking in all its forms. The Quran's influence on the modern world extends deeply into the realms of social justice, ethics, and human rights. Far from being a text locked in the past, the Quran offers guidance that challenges injustice, oppression, inequality, and exploitation, issues that still plague modern societies. From its earliest revelations, the Quran speaks directly against the abuse of power, the hoarding of wealth by elites, and the mistreatment of the vulnerable, including women, orphans, and the poor. Its call to justice is not limited to individual piety, but encompasses systemic reform and societal accountability. One of the Quran's most profound contributions is its insistence on the equality of all human beings, regardless of race, ethnicity, or social class. It declares that all people were created from a single soul, and that the only distinction between them is in righteousness and moral character, not in wealth, lineage, or status. This teaching directly counters the structures of privilege and division that have historically marginalized entire communities in a world still struggling with racism, colonial legacies, and socio-economic disparities. The Quran's message offers a radical vision of unity and human dignity that resonates powerfully today. Moreover, the Quran places immense emphasis on the protection of human rights and the upholding of justice even against oneself, one's family, or one's tribe. This uncompromising stance reflects an ethical framework where truth and fairness are elevated above personal interests or tribal loyalties, a principle that underpins the foundations of modern legal systems and international human rights charter. The Quran also outlines detailed codes regarding the rights of women, the responsibilities of leaders toward their people, and the importance of honest commerce and fair dealings. Principles that have shaped Islamic civilizations and continue to inspire reformers, activists, and thought leaders around the globe. In an era of social unrest, corruption, and moral confusion, the Quran's call for a just, balanced, and compassionate society offers a roadmap for both personal integrity and collective harmony. It does not merely suggest charity as an optional virtue, but embeds social welfare, care for the marginalized, and the fair distribution of resources into the core of its moral philosophy. This ethical foundation remains highly relevant in a world grappling with environmental crises, economic inequality, and the erosion of social bonds. reminding humanity that true progress is not measured solely by material wealth, but by the depth of justice, mercy, and empathy that governs our societies. The Quran's relevance to the modern world is perhaps most evident in its emphasis on universal values of peace, compassion, and coexistence. At a time when global divisions are deepened by politics, identity conflicts, and cultural misunderstandings, the Quran offers a framework that promotes dialogue, respect, and peaceful coexistence among diverse communities. It addresses all of humanity, not just Muslims, when it speaks of justice, mercy, and the sanctity of human life. The Quran condemns aggression and commands believers to strive for peace whenever there is an opportunity, establishing a clear standard for ethical conduct, even in times of conflict. This message is especially powerful today as the world grapples with extremism, violence, and the misuse of religion for political gain. The Quran unequivocally rejects such distortions by emphasizing that faith must lead to the betterment of society, the protection of life, and the building of bridges rather than walls. Its teachings call for the protection of religious freedom, allowing people of different faiths to live together in harmony, honoring their differences while upholding shared values of honesty, kindness, and mutual respect. This principle is exemplified by the Quran's numerous references to Jews, Christians, and other faith communities as people of the book, recognizing their scriptures and prophets while inviting them to dialogue on common ground. Moreover, the Quran's message of environmental stewardship is gaining new attention in the modern era of climate change and environmental degradation. It teaches that the earth is a trust given to humanity and that balance must be maintained in all aspects of life, including consumption, natural resource management, and respect for all living beings. This ecological consciousness aligns closely with contemporary sustainability movements, offering a spiritual and ethical foundation for environmental activism. In a time when global challenges seem overwhelming, the Quran provides not only spiritual solace, but also practical wisdom that addresses the core of human existence: how to live a life of purpose, compassion, and balance in a complex world. Its call for personal accountability, social responsibility, and a deep connection with the Creator speaks to the heart of individuals searching for meaning beyond material success. It is this timeless relevance and holistic guidance that continue to draw people from all walks of life toward the Quran, making it not just a sacred scripture, but a living dialogue between humanity and its Creator in every age, including our own. As we come to the end of this journey, reflecting on the Quran and its powerful relevance to the modern world, it becomes clear that this book is more than a religious text. It is a guide, a mirror, and a companion to those seeking truth, wisdom, and clarity in a chaotic age. From the moment its verses were revealed over 1,400 years ago until today, the Quran has continued to resonate with hearts and minds, offering answers where there are questions, offering peace where there is confusion, and offering light in the darkest corners of life. In today's world filled with rapid technological advances, social transformations, and growing existential crises, many people find themselves asking the deeper questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? The Quran does not shy away from these questions. Instead, it meets the reader with both compassion and challenge, calling each of us to reflect, to think critically, and to elevate our understanding of life beyond material pursuits. It offers a worldview rooted in justice, mercy, and balance. It reminds us of our responsibilities, not just to ourselves or our communities, but to the entire human family and the earth that sustains us. For those who approach it with an open heart, the Quran has the potential to spark transformation, not only in personal belief, but in daily behavior, worldview, and values. It teaches humility in success, patience in difficulty, and kindness in every interaction. It does not promise an easy path, but it offers a meaningful one. And in a world that often feels directionless, that alone is priceless. To everyone who has taken the time to listen, to reflect, and to walk with us through this discussion, thank you. Your time and attention are deeply valued. May the questions raised today lead you to deeper inquiry, and may the truths you uncover bring you peace. Whether you're Muslim, Christian, a seeker of faith, or simply curious, this dialogue is not about division, but understanding. And in understanding, there is always hope. Thank you for joining us. Stay thoughtful, stay curious, and above all, stay sincere in your search for truth. Peace be upon you.